So you've been very successful on Etsy, and it's been a whirlwind for you. Can you tell me a little bit about your store on Etsy?
Well, I wish I could put it as little. It's a lot. As far as Etsy, that's just a whole nother world in itself. When it comes to listing, I have to dedicate at least 3 to 5 days to photographing, listing. I used to edit every photo before I put it up, but now the items go so fast, there's no point in doing that. First starting, it was really hard too because it's hard to get noticed on Etsy. There's a lot of other shops, and that thankfully for Instagram, that got me noticed more on Etsy. So for like the first, I want to say 7 to 9 months, it was hard. It was really hard.
So you've made a career out of Etsy now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that means that you are able to support yourself off of the career that you've built.
Definitely. It never stops. And the best part is that it never stops. You know, you keep going and the business keeps going.
So tell me a little bit about your business. Like what is it that's available for people?
I try and I first started it as just jewelry because that's what I was into. And then I noticed once I got into jewelry, I started thinking, okay, well, what am I going to decorate my photos with? Because what you do, you want it to come across to everyone as how they would see it, how they, would appreciate what you're putting out into the world. And then I started thinking, wow, okay, well, antiques look really nice. Well, why can't I sell antiques and books and candles? And then it started getting into crystals because then I was like, oh, because have you seen my very first pieces? They're all bones. Everything was bones. The second I saw bones and I saw bone jewelry, I was like, bone jewelry, that's going to be, that's going to be it. And then once I started seeing more and more of what and how far I could take it, I was like, I can make everything available. So when I first started with bone jewelry, I thought, this is a great element to bring into something that someone can wear, because it's, it's part of the earth and you can feel that energy. And then I started thinking like, okay, well, what other kind of energy can I incorporate into it? And I thought like, oh, crystals, and then you start thinking like hemp, you start thinking like dried flowers, everything. Once you actually get into it, your mind just starts rolling and rolling. It's like, it's just tumbling, like it's endless. And I think that's what's so appealing about it, especially with being that, a lot of their jewelry is organic. And I feel like a lot of people appreciate that because you're not just disposing something that was given to us that's supposed to be beautiful from this earth, like you keep going with it and you take it, you can pass it to your children, like you pass that on with your jewelry.
That's so great. So
well, it always starts with the idea. You have to have the idea. You have to be able to see it to really make it happen because that's the goal. That's the goal, to always see it first and then like, okay, now let's start the process.
That's really what you've gravitated towards, right? You
Yes.
feel like it took you a little bit to get there, and when you got to crystals, did you find that you had met?
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like I can't make anything that doesn't have crystals in it now, and if I do, I'm like, it's missing something.
What kind of crystals do you like to work with?
Everything. It's easier to work with polished crystals because it takes easier to the bonding of the glue. It all depends on the piece you're really making. But yeah,
if you were to like rattle off a few, like they range all the way from like this kind of a crystal all the way to.
Well, I like to work with like polished single terminated crystals, so they'll just have like the top cut off and it'll be to a point because those look really nice. Like this, like it just hangs by itself. It looks really good. It's easy to wrap.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. It's and also too when you have that quick idea that you're just like, I want to see if this works. And sometimes when you have really expensive crystals that aren't polished, or they're rough, and I love to work with spirit quartz, but they're expensive. So when you have an idea, you always want to make sure it works with what you would make sure it could work with first. And that's that's where I always go with the polish first. If it could work for that one, okay, now I can move on to where I know I won't damage a really expensive crystal because I already tried the idea.
What has been a special piece for you? Have you held on to anything?
I've held on to a lot. The first collection that was really, it hit home for me was the Signum collection. And I made about 5 and I sold about 2. because I just couldn't watch the other ones go. A couple of them took at least 2 days to make, just by itself, just for one. And
Do you wear them? Are they yours?
no, I keep them in my room. I just want them here. You know, like it's what I went through at that time to make it. It was so emotional, and I feel like you can tell with an artist through the darker collections what they go through mentally. So like I was so depressed, but it translated so beautifully that I was just like, I don't want to let that go. You know, I want to be reminded that I can do something with that pain. You know?
And what a beautiful gift that is, because then you could give it to someone and you may be helping them.
Exactly, because then you don't know the person that's buying your product, you know, and I feel like that's the best thing about Etsy, that's the best thing about handmade jewelry. You're buying something from someone who made it in their, you know, mentality, and you don't know what that person's going through that bought it, you know, you don't, unless they really communicate with you and let you know, like, this piece meant so much to me because I went through this, this, and this. But then,
so tell me a little bit about your, like, imagination. So you've always been imaginative since you were a little kid.
Yeah.
Do you feel like...
It's really weird. But ever since I was young, I always attach myself to music. I always take at least 2 hours out of the day to just lay down and listen to music. Like that, it just relaxes me so much. And when you can, I feel like before you really ever do anything, you always have to envision it. You always have to see it happening. And I feel like when you listen to the right music, when you give yourself that right tune of mind, you can achieve anything.
Mm-hmm.
So even since I was younger, I would always listen to music. And I would always say to my mom, like, Mommy, maybe one day I'll be famous. You know, maybe, who knows? And
Look at that.
I would just, I don't know. And like the music would always make me feel like, you know, one day, you know.
So it would empower you.
Yeah. It just felt great. It was,
So that
really
that gets me curious. What is a day for you like? Because you work from home.
Mm-hmm.
What's a typical day like for you?
A typical day. Well, I wake up. My cats normally wake me up. I mean, the first place I come isn't here. This is like my sanctuary. So I really like to just look at, you know, my notifications if I have emails, just in case. And then normally this room isn't so clean. I normally have my desk filled with everything that I started the day before, and I'll start finishing that. And then I go crazy and I'm like, I have to take a picture. So I'm setting up a picture, and that can take me an hour. It can take me 3 hours, depending, you know, when you're in the zone and you can see something and you're like, oh, I got it. And, you know, everything plays a role. The light, you know, if it's raining, sometimes I just like to meditate. It's nice though. And, you know, I've never had my own space. I always did it in the living room. So I never really had alone time. So I always stay in here.
So how many collections do you have in a year?
How many collections in a year? You know, it's funny. I used to do, this month marks my second year. I feel like my first year, a little bit into my second year, I focused on collections. That was like how I gravitated towards creating jewelry. I was like, okay, I'm so focused doing this one particular style. It's going to be this collection. But I don't know. Recently, I feel like my brain is just bouncing everywhere. So I don't really do collections anymore. It's more or less just like what I felt like making that day. You know, like I'll wake up and I'll be like, that's what I want to make. And, you know, I'll post it. And, you know, I make that available on my Etsy when it's the update. And
was it hard to put that first collection up, even if it was just sharing with a few friends, like to put yourself out there?
It was a challenge, you know, when I got, you know, my first comment and someone's like, this is beautiful. I'm like, someone actually likes it, you know, like they enjoy it. And it was a real big surprise. I didn't expect any of that.
So from getting your first comment to where you are today, are you overwhelmed with all the attention that you're getting?
Yes and no. It's weird because it took a while to get here. I think 2 years is a good amount of time to go from one comment to 100. I definitely appreciate it every day. I'm so thankful. It's a dream job to be able to show the world who you are, how your mind works, to translate it through art, and then for so many people to welcome that into their life. And I've gotten so many messages where people will say, like, you know, I had such a bad day, and I lay down and I look at your page and I feel so much better, and I read that, and I don't always take into account how much of an impact I have on people until I read that, and it's like a big hug. The best way to be is honest. You have to be honest with yourself, you know, and that I feel like that's the only way a business will ever work, is if it's something you truly want to do and if it's who you truly are, because anything past that point will always come naturally, you know, and it's going to last, you know, and I'm never going to stop. This is just, you know, this is just what I want to do forever. It's amazing. It's so
Have
fun.
you ever run into somebody wearing your stuff?
No. I'm really excited for that day, though, so I can just look at it and just touch it. Is that weird? So I could say, like,
Full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it found its way back to me, and I'll give it back.
So tell me a little bit about when you put your items online. How fast do they sell out? How long does it take?
Well, it takes a while to put them up, and lately it's only been probably like 5 minutes it takes for everything to sell out. I like to do it in 3 intervals. Like, I'll do it Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and it'll be every day at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And I'll try and do at least 60 items, 70 items, and 60 items. My last update, I did 80 items, 90 items, and another 70. And in minutes it was sold out. And
so I always press like publish.
Yeah, because on Etsy, I used to do it on my phone, and at that point, you'd have to publish each one individually. And then I realized that's not fair, because everyone's going to keep going, and there's not going to be anything there. So I go on Etsy.com, I go on my laptop, and I check mark each one, and then I go publish. And I don't know, I sit there and I just refresh my page, and I'm like, okay, 2 minutes, you know, 3 minutes, and then I go on my Instagram, and I have to get ready for the people who aren't, you know, able to buy anything, and, you know, they get really stressed out, because I can only realize, you know, how nerve-wracking that must be to just like, oh, I have to buy something, it's up right now, and then it's gone, or it's in your cart and then it's gone, and then, you know, I can't really do anything about that except, you know, smile and be happy, because that, you know, that's my shop doing great. And I always try and just tell my customers, you know, like, just, you know, give it some time, and, you know, next time try, you know, never give up.
It's almost like the piece has to also match with the person.
They
have to wait their turn.
They'll say, like, oh, it wasn't meant for me this time, and then they'll try again. And my last update, this one girl got 5 items. I don't know how she did it. God bless her. And she was so happy. She's like, I've been trying for months, and she's like, this is it. This was finally it.
So tell me a little bit about the online community and who you've met, or have you made any friends or anything like that?
The online community, it's wonderful. There's a lot of people that I met, and this one girl in particular online, her name is Soliloquy Jewelry. She's amazing. And the best part, I feel like, about the community is growing, and she metalsmiths. And for myself, you know, like, I do the drilling, I do wood, I do the crystals. So it's such a good part for both of us to grow with each other, because it's so hard to find someone who actually wants to help you. I hope that doesn't sound mean, but, you know, you take pride in what you can be able to do, and that's what you bring to the table. That's what makes you, because that's what you can do. And she metalsmiths, and, you know, she's amazing. She's just like, she lives in Boston. And
you met her online? Like, you met her through Instagram?
I met her on Instagram, yeah. It's so funny, because I met her 5 months after I started. And at the time, I had, I think, 10K followers, and she had 7K. And I remember calling her on the phone, and we were both really stressed out, because she just quit her job to do this. To pursue her dream. And she told me, you know, like, you really inspired me, and I'm talking her through it. She's crying. She's like, how am I going to pay my rent? And I'm crying with her, because I'm like, I understand what you're going through. And, you know, we were just talking, and I told her, I was like, you know, one day we're going to make it. We're going to make it. We're never going to have to worry. And I was like, we're going to work together. We're going to build a business together. And that's what we're trying to do now.
Wow.
And it's amazing, because now I have over 100K, and I think she just reached 40K.
Wow. So what's the dream?
I want to have a store. I want it to be like Urban Outfitters meets Harry Potter. I know. That's the same smile I put on my face every time I think about it, but I definitely, that's what I want.
Like a wonderland.
Exactly.
So we can expect from you one day to join forces with girls like the ones you've met in the online community.
It's just fusing those ideas and those passions and really making something out of it rather than just saying, this is mine, that's yours. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, let's see how big we can make this.
Together.
Yeah, together.
Wow. So that's obviously been an extremely positive thing. Mm-hmm. In addition to the people who are buying your jewelry also found you online. So is this your passion?
It is. It will always be, and I'm so happy that I've made a career out of it. I'm flabbergasted. I always like that word. Yeah, it's amazing.